Okay, we said there were three different categories of money. Commodity money, and then we have this representative money, and we don't have that today. We don't have silver certificates today. We have what's called fiat money. So let's back up a second and say, well, what do we mean by fiat? Do we mean that car from Italy or something? Is that what we mean by fiat? No, fiat is a Latin term. Let me illustrate this by a book of Genesis, the first chapter of the Bible, when it talks about God creating the world universe out of nothing. Originally it was written in Hebrew, and then we come into the age when Jesus and the disciples lived, and about that time there were 70 Greek scholars, Hebrew scholars, who translated the Bible from the Hebrew into the Greek, and they called that the Septuagint because of these 70 scholars. And then you take it from that New Testament time all the way up in the Middle Ages, and it was transferred into the Latin because the Latin was the common language of all the intellectuals all the way through the Middle Ages and on. And so if you look at that creation account according to the Latin version of the Bible, there is a statement in there that says, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And if I understand the Latin, fiat lux means let there be light. And light was spoken into existence. Because God spoke it, it happened. Now, philosophically, out of nothing, nothing can come from us human creatures, sort of thing. But we're talking about deity here. So deities can do what mortals can't, right? And one of those things, according to the first chapter in the first book of the Bible, is speak something called light into existence. There wasn't any sun or anything around. It just spoke light into existence. Now, fiat lux and fiat money have something in common. Fiat lux means somebody says, let there be light, and there was light. Now you know what fiat money means. Somebody said, let there be money, and voila, there is now money. That's what we mean when we say fiat money. It is literally spoken into existence. It comes from nothing. Now, since this fiat money is spoken into existence by the central bank, the Federal Reserve, we can say that as a practical matter, God and the Federal Reserve have something in common. They can both create something that is valuable out of nothing. Sounds pretty metaphysical, doesn't it? Like, that's one way of putting it, I suppose. Well, from that Latin translation of the first chapter of the book of the Bible, where we understand fiat lux, now we got a good picture for what we're talking about when we talk about the kind of money that we use, whether it's in paper form or a bank statement form or electronic form, that value is literally spoken into existence. And again, this kind of money is legal tender, regardless of where it's at. The government says that that money you got to accept. Now, my money right here, remember this IOU that I created? I created money, but do you have to accept my money? Rick says, yeah, I want $600 but I don't want that $600. Don't really want to say I don't trust you, but I don't trust you. So he doesn't have to accept it. When did this kind of money first come into existence? I got to tell you a story here. To to my understanding, that explains my understanding of when this kind of money first came into existence. Oh, I'm thinking around about 1500, something like that. I'm not real sure. There was this young man named Mark, and his father was in the shipping business, and he went from Europe all the way down around Africa, around India, went over all the way over to China, and would trade manufactured goods for silk and spices and all that sort of stuff. And then he'd come all the way back around and he would sell it. And that's how he made money. And since he was a young guy, he went with his father, because you can't make that trip too many times in your life because it is a really, really long trip. He had a diary, and he kept a diary. And when he was keeping this diary, he noticed that when he was in China, that the Chinese person in charge, named Kubla Khan, came up with this idea. And since the Kubla Khan said, they were trading a gold coin. They were trading a gold coin. Now, the name, I don't know what the name of the gold coin is. I'll call it a Bazan, because a Bazan was a gold coin that traded for nearly a millennium in ancient Byzantium in Europe. So I'll just call it a Bazan because that's a common gold coin that was in circulation for many hundreds of years. And so he would pay his soldiers in this gold coin, and they would come through, and your name, okay, check, you get your gold coin. Next one, yep, you get your gold coin. And he was thinking to himself, wait a minute. I am the government. What I say is law. And when I say it's law, it really is law. And what I say is the truth because of what? Because I say it. That means it's the truth because I say it. And so he decided to go into the woods and pull off some birch bark or something like that. Nice big hunk of it. And he wrote on it. That's not a really good picture of that. This is one gold Bazant. I'll abbreviate that for Bazant. And then he would sign it here, and he'd put the king's royal seal right there. And so as the soldiers would come through for their monthly paycheck, the bursar would say, what's your name? Jones, okay. Here's your gold Bazant. What's your name, sir? Henry, okay. And Mr. Jones, excuse me a second. What's this? Oh, can you read? No. Well, I'll tell you what it is. Well, you know what that is. Oh, yeah, that's the seal of the great Kubla Khan. Well, that's his signature right here, too. And here's what it says. This is one gold Bazant. Yeah. And you just got paid one gold Bazant. Yeah. Okay, I guess. But could I have one of those round, shiny ones? Soldier, are you talking about a gold Bazant? Yeah, I'd really rather have one of those gold Bazants. I'll read this to you one more time, Mr. Soldier. You see this seal? It's the great Kubla Khan. The great Kubla Khan says, this is one gold Bazant. Now, soldier, I'm telling you the truth. That's what it says. Do you believe the great Kubla Khan? Well, I'd really rather... Oh, you don't think that it really is a gold Bazant? Is that what you're telling me? Well, it's not that I don't believe you or anything, but I would just really rather... Gendarme, could you come over here? Do you have a nice sharp sword? Could you lift your chin just a little bit? Because when we swing, we want to have a nice, clean sword. I don't think this guy really believes the Kubla Khan. And that's called being a traitor, isn't it? When you don't believe government, when you think of the government, you're not going along with this. Wait a minute. I do believe that that is a gold Bazant, and thank you very much, and I'm out of here with my gold Bazant. So what's he going to do with this thing? He wants to go buy, I don't know, some horse or something. Hey, how much for your horse? That's a nice horse. I know it is. I'll pay a gold Bazant for that. Deal, buddy. Here's your gold Bazan. What? Yeah, here's your gold Bazan. What's this thing? It's a gold Bazan. It looks like a piece of birch bark with some stamp on it. Can you read? No, I can't either, but I know what's on it. It says, this is one gold Bazan, and there's the Kubla Khan seal. Now, do you believe that? I don't know if I believe it or not, but I really want one of those gold coins. That's what I really want. I don't think that you believe that this is a gold Bazan. Is that right, sir? Well, yeah. John Darm, could you come over here and witness this transaction? I have a situation here with this fine citizen here that he doesn't believe what the great Kubla Khan governor says. And I think that's disloyalty. That's what I think that is. And I think that's treasonous. Oh, really? I don't want to be no treason. No, okay. Okay, you win. Put your sword away. You win. I'll take the gold Bazan. Now, making one of those gold coins, that's pretty hard. Can't do that very easily. But going and stripping all the bark off of the trees of the forest and stamping them, that's a whole lot simpler. So now, when he did this and spent these into circulation, because what choice do the citizens have? This is legal tender stuff. What choice does he have? He can't fight City Hall. You know, he's got the whole government there, so I guess it's okay. Now, what really happens is something called Gresham's Law, in which, remember when we had the silver dollar and the paper dollar? And you're going to get paid. And although by law they're the same thing, because both say $1 on it, when people perceive the value of one to be greater than the value of the other, they're going to trade the value of this one. Here, you take it, and treat it like an old maid card or something. You just dump it off on somebody else as fast as you can. And what do you do with the gold one? You keep it back. You don't trade that one, right? So, sir, I think Thomas Gresham? Gresham says that bad money drives good money out of circulation. That bad money drives good money. In whose opinion? Well, in the opinion of the market. That's in whose opinion? Not the king's opinion, they're the same thing. But if people perceive that one commodity is a different value than the other commodity in their opinion, well, then they're going to pawn off the lesser value one. They're going to pay all their debts with the lesser value one, and they're going to keep this one back because they think, in their mind, that's worth more. It doesn't matter what the government says. It doesn't really matter. What really matters is what do they think. And so Gresham's Law says that bad money drives good money out of circulation when government says they're equal. There's the catch. Government has to say these two things are equal when they're in the minds of the consumer and the minds of the public they're not. Then they're going to trade this one, which they think is kind of worthless compared to this one, and it drives this good money out of circulation. Here's the rest of the story. I got this out of a book, this Mark's Diary, and the name of the author was not just Mark, but it was Marco Polo. And the name of the book was The Travels of Marco Polo. And Marco Polo was saying, by this means, the Kubla Khan, the great Kubla Khan, was able to rip, he didn't, that's my words, not his, able to rip off the public by giving him these cheap birch bark things and taking very valuable things in exchange, because if they didn't, they could lose their head, because they'd have to say the government's lying or the government's ripping me off or something. As a matter of fact, that happened for a while, and pretty soon there's a revolt, as there normally is when people are oppressed, and there's bloodshed and all that sort of stuff, and you throw that leader out and you put another guy in. So this kind of legal tender fiat money has been a form of warfare of governments upon their own citizens from as far back in recorded history I could find, and this was the first account that I could find. If you happen to go to this Ashland University place right down the road and go up in the library next to the top floor, there's a numismatic center in there. In that numismatic center, there's cases, and it's full of Confederate money. Confederate money. Now, that Confederate money is valuable because it is counterfeit. That is why it is so valuable. Because one of the things that the North did to help win the war against the South is that they went down to the Caribbean islands and they cranked out Confederate money, big bales of it, just tons and tons and tons of it. And then they would pay people just to go up the Mississippi and go on and just spend it. Just have a good time, spend it. Just spend it on anything, everything. The more you can spend, the better. And that was a means of economic warfare to destroy the monetary system of the Confederacy. Now, this Kubla Khan illustration was a way of taxing the people by force, taking their money, and they couldn't do anything about it because they said this is the way it is. And so to increase fiat money and spend it into circulation is a way of taking the purchasing power away from all the other existing units of money and diluting it with the purchasing power of the new money. That is what counterfeiters do. That is how counterfeiters actually get wealth out of their operations. Counterfeiters are not creating wealth. Counterfeiters are simply reducing the wealth of everybody else's savings when they increase the money supply. Now, this goes back to our $4 and our 4 apples illustration. That's where we're going to end with our discussion of fiat money. And the first historical example I could find was with the travels of Marco Polo, the great Kubla Khan, and how fiat money has historically always been a tool of warfare or oppression of governments against the very people that the governments are there to serve.